former security advisor under the Trump administration, on the Joe Rogan show explains all of the underground clandestine operations, how they fund them, how the CIA steals money from Americans. But he points out the corruption of USAID, which isn't actually USAID. Let me just go ahead and put it so you can hear it from his own words. Do not sign off until you watch this. It's insane.
I mean, USAID and the National Endowment for Democracy. Now USAID is, a very notorious. It's sort of a switch player. There's no aid in USAID, by the way. That's your brain is being tricked when you see the phrase USAID. It's not an aid organization. The aid in USAID stands for U.S. Agency for International Development. It is developing internationally around the world all of the institutions that the State Department needs to use. So when they are capacity building activist groups in a foreign country, that's because the State Department wants those activists there.
So USAID is not about using taxpayer money to do good, to be charitable, to be benevolent. It's literally about greasing the palms of terrorist groups, activist groups, LGBTQ, climate organizations, funding coups against other governments and elections. He's going to explain it, but this is what our money has been going to instead of helping American citizens.
Now, USAID, for the first time in its history, it was created in the early 1960s by JFK, 1961. It was created because you had all of this intelligence, statecraft, and military support and logistical aid that was tripping over itself, basically. The military would be funding, would be running aid to certain groups in the region. The State Department would be running aid to certain groups in the region. The intelligence community would, and there was no sort of central coordinator of those capacity building operations. So USAID, by the way, is a $50 billion budget. The entirety of the intelligence community is only $72 billion.
All right, did you grab that? FBI, CIA, NSA, police, all the different DIA, all of the different agencies that Tulsi Gabbard will oversee, $72 billion. Meanwhile, USAID, $50 billion, and they use it in the dark of night for these clandestine operations.
So it is as more than the CIA and more than the State Department.
Wow.
And aid is basically, USAID is effectively a switch player to assist the Pentagon with on the national security front, to assist the State Department on the national interest front, or to assist the intelligence community on a sort of clandestine operations front. So, State Department,
All right. So I hope that helped you better understand what is going on with USAID. It is not an organization to do good, and what they're finding is corruption. I'm reading online that there's about 50,000 NGOs, non-government organizations. The government funds these, and then they turn around and they help illegals flood into the country. They do coups. They try to manipulate elections. They do opiate farming over in Afghanistan. They do child trafficking, drug trafficking, arms trafficking. You guys, this is absolutely crazy. All right, now I want to tell you what Steve Bannon had to say on the Megyn Kelly show about President Trump. I want to hear from you guys. What do you think about all of this? Elon Musk, Trump, they're exposing all of this. And most of those 50,000 NGOs that are getting part of that $50 billion, most of them are actively doing anti-American work or pro-Democrat Party work. It's pretty crazy. All right, first a word from our sponsor. Are you worried about retirement? Do you want to